Walt Disney's death led to the abandonment of an unbuilt apartment suite inside of Cinderella Castle. And for years, the space sat mostly empty, with temporary stints as a dressing room or storage facility, or even a telephone switchboard office. But today, it is the most exclusive spot in any Disney park, more exclusive than Club 33 or even 21 Royal, because this is an experience that money can't buy. Today, we're talking everything there is to know about the famed Cinderella Castle Suite, including its interesting history, what's inside, and how you can or can't stay there yourself. During Disneyland's construction, Walt was constantly traveling between the half-built park in Anaheim, Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, and his home on Carrollwood Drive, which sat near Beverly Hills. And this constant shuffling required long daily drives, which Walt felt took away precious time that he could be spending on Disneyland. So Walt decided that he would have a small apartment built for himself on Main Street, USA. Decorated by Mary Poppins set designer Emil Curry, this small apartment was finished before the park officially opened. So Walt used it to oversee park construction and later to observe park operations and, of course, host friends and family that were visiting Disneyland. And this apartment became a key part of Walt's Disneyland experience. So when he was planning his Vacation Kingdom Florida project, he set his sights even higher. He was in the midst of building a grand new castle for his Magic Kingdom park, and this time he wanted his apartment to be inside of it. So as blueprints for this new castle were developed, this apartment was included from the start. But in 1966, in the midst of this planning, Walt passed away. And when Roy took over many of the responsibilities necessary to build the Vacation Kingdom, it was initially planned for him to take up residence in this apartment. But out of respect for his brother, he decided against it. And so, while the apartment space itself was built per the blueprints, it was left vacant. And that meant that Disney had empty space, which a few years later they found use for. But to discuss what it was used for, we need to go down a semi-random but very important tangent. When Walt purchased the land for his Florida project, part of its appeal was that it was in a vast, undeveloped area, meaning that Disney had a completely blank canvas and a luxury they could never have at Disneyland: space. However, it also meant that there wasn't nearly enough infrastructure to support a project the size of Walt Disney World, especially since Disney was not planning to build just a theme park this time. They were planning to build an experimental prototype community of tomorrow, an actual working, functioning city called Epcot. Diving into that is a story for another Mouselets Monday. But for today, know that out there in the deserted Florida wetlands, Disney needed to build the infrastructure necessary to support a small city. This included basic utilities and functions like road networks, water services, and an electrical grid. But it also presented an opportunity for Disney to expand their revenue portfolio and open businesses that could serve the greater Orlando area, like an airport, which we have a full deep dive on, a central food preparation plant, and a controlling interest in a new telephone company. Because it was during this time that Walt Disney Productions and the Florida Telephone Company partnered together to create a new subsidiary called the Vista Florida Telephone System, of which Disney had 51% ownership. This company was meant to service all of the phones at Walt Disney World as well as connect them to the greater Orlando area. Operations officially began in July of 1971, and remember, at that time, telephones were still being operated by switchboards and manual operators. So the Vista Florida Telephone Systems operators were housed in 2 temporary trailers on Walt Disney World property. And at the time, they managed 800 phones, making 10,000 phone calls a day. And by the time the park opened that fall, the number of phones had increased to 3,000. So those temporary trailers weren't going to work long term, but luckily Disney had some pre-built available space that just happened to be inside of Cinderella Castle. And so for many years, this is where the switchboards and the operators were housed, inside of the space originally meant for Walt's apartment. And it may seem strange that Disney would put this type of thing inside the castle, but it actually does make sense because another place that Disney has offices and business functions is on the 2nd story of Main Street, USA. It's all hidden away, unnoticed by guests, but it functions as normal day-to-day offices. And so when the Telecommunications company needed a spot to house the switchboards, it made sense that Disney would put them up in the available space that they had. After all, it was prime real estate that was sitting completely unused. So this became the home of the Vista Florida telephone system. But over the next decade or so, telephone switchboards and operators were phased out. So the space was no longer needed for this purpose and once again sat empty. Over the next couple decades, it served as a green room of sorts for shows around the hub. Sometimes it was a dressing room for the entertainers performing on Main Street, USA, or in shows on the Castle forecourt stage. And other times it was a storage facility or staging area for props and set pieces. Some people say that it was even used as a changing room for the Tinkerbell that flies during the fireworks show. But in general, it was just a flex space in an old, mostly empty room. But then finally, in the early 2000s, Disney decided what they should actually do with this space. And it started with a marketing tactic that you might remember, the year of a million dreams. I was a marketing major in college, and I love talking about this because A, it's super nostalgic to me personally, but B, more importantly, this was a hugely successful, really unique campaign in the history of Disney marketing promotions. The Year of a Million Dreams was a coast-to-coast celebration which was born from focus groups that identified the Disney parks as being the place that dreams come true. In the parks, Disney deployed a new team called the Dream Squad, tasked with making magical moments every day for guests in order to fulfill 1 million dreams. And these magical moments ranged from small to large. My personal Year of a Million Dreams anecdote is that when I was about 11 or 12, I was in Dinoland USA and I saw them handing out ear hats by Triceratops Spin. My sister and I were so excited, but we got too nervous to ask for one and we regretted it for years. But just seeing the Dream Squad in person felt like the most special thing in the world, and we didn't even get anything. And in addition to giving out exclusive ears like the ones that I saw or pins, the Dream Squad gave out things that they called Dreams Come True. There was the Dream Fast Pass, which gave guests a full set of fast passes to the park that they were in. There were trips where guests were sent on a Disney cruise or Adventures by Disney vacation, or even a trip to visit every Disney park around the world. And as the cream of the crop, ultimate dream come true, Disney transformed that empty space inside of the castle into the Cinderella Castle Suite, meant to be the most exclusive spot that anyone could ever dream of visiting. Construction began in secret sometime around 2005, and on July 7th, 2006, it was officially announced that this space was being turned into a royal bedchamber themed after Cinderella. So let's dive into what you can see inside of this exclusive and elusive suite. Downstairs, just off the main area of the castle, guests will enter a small room that's filled with Cinderella details. This is, of course, a theme that will exist throughout the suite, but here you can see a clock that's set to 11:59 p.m. because it never reaches midnight in the Cinderella Castle Suite. Inside this area, there's access to an ornate private elevator that takes guests up to the 650 square foot suite. And even this elevator is perfectly themed to look like the inside of Cinderella's coach, complete with a mosaic floor. Once inside, they'll enter a small foyer with another mosaic tile art, this one featuring the Cinderella coach, as well as various Cinderella memorabilia on display, including her famous glass slipper. It's said that these glass slippers are actually gifted to any celebrity that stays in the suite, and that this particular one is one that was given to Mariah Carey, but she declined to bring home. Inside the bedroom, there are two queen canopy beds, each which has Cinderella's crest engraved in the headboard, as well as an antique fireplace and a portrait of Cinderella that doubles as a hidden TV. There's an attached salon, which has books borrowed from Belle, 6 windows that face Fantasyland, and a small pull-out couch to fit 2 more guests. There's an antique writing desk, an old telephone, and lots of elements that tie in to the inspiration of real vintage castles from France. And then one of the most famous areas in the suite is the bathroom. The star of the show is the spa bathtub, which is surrounded by mosaics that tell the story of Cinderella. And beyond just this incredible suite, a stay here comes with other perks as well. You'll have a concierge dedicated to you for the entire length of your stay. You can arrive before the park even opens and go on rides with no wait. And once it is operating hours, your concierge will take you straight to the front of the line for any ride that you'd like. Throughout your stay in the suite, they can bring you anything you want, like the time that Katy Perry requested a pepperoni pizza. And you can even watch the fireworks from inside of the suite. At night, you will be locked in, but you have 24-hour access to a private phone that connects you straight to your concierge. And if you'd like, they can even bring you outside to experience the park in the middle of the night when it's completely empty. Stays here are for one night and one night only, and you do have to be out by 7:30 in the morning, but it is any Disney lover's ultimate bucket list item. And it's clear why, because not only is a stay here extremely unique, it is an experience that money can't buy. Rumor has it that Disney has declined offers of up to $40,000 to stay here. And during a charity event, when a single night stay was auctioned off, it went for over $75,000. So while it is the ultimate bucket list item, it is unfortunately not something that you can choose to do. Instead, it has to be something that you're gifted or that you win. If you're interested in staying here, which you probably are, the best thing that you can do is look for giveaways that are often hosted by charities like Give Kids the World. They sometimes will give away a night in the suite as part of a promotion to support their work. Other than that, there have been occasional tours of the suite offered, like one in 2019 that cost $12,000. And to be clear, that did not include a stay inside the suite, it just included the ability to be able to go inside. But over the years, there have been D23 events and other exclusive experiences that allowed sneak peek access. So keep an eye out, but know most likely this is the type of thing that you only get to check off if you are the luckiest of Disney fans. If you're interested in other history of Walt Disney World or Disneyland, we do deep dives every single Monday, so check out our channel for more. And for now, thanks for watching, and cross your fingers that one day you'll be able to go inside of this exclusive suite.